Hello, good morning. Actually, a very pretty Friday morning here.
Isn't it
It's Friday,
nice?
man. It's time to kick off the weekend, get together with friends, and wait.
No, don't do
Time
that.
to sit around the house and stare at the walls.
I tell you what, cabin fever is rampant in this city right now. A great way to break it up is get yourself something to go from La Divina Italian Cafe.
Certainly is. They are open. We are here now. The dining room is closed, and we're not eating, so we're not violating any rules. But
And it's not because the food's bad, because the food's great.
no, it's just that's part of the deal. Is if we want to continue to use an area in the dining room, we're not ordering from the kitchen. But you can call 225-771-8588, place your order, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or even dinner, and you can come by, and hell, they'll even bring it out to the car for you if you want them to.
Yeah, now Lance is not handy, but on Tuesday, Lance was thinking about doing like a set meal for the evening times, like their big lasagna, all ready to go, hot and ready, and if you need to heat it up, you put it back in the oven for just a couple minutes, and their lasagna here is the bomb, folks. It really is.
Yes, it is.
For breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, give them the number again, please, Kevin.
The number is, of course, 225 area code.
Tap it in, if you will.
It is 771-8588. That's 771-8588. You want me to tap it in?
Tap it in, and then we're also going to tell
I'm
you...
editing the post right now,
Yeah.
so you feel free, and then I'll get it when I'm
Yeah, I'll
done.
tell you what other restaurants and all that are doing. Also, before we go on, this from our friend Mike Steele at the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, or as we call it, GOSEP. He has promised to stay in regular touch with us as well. And they're getting a lot of calls about the shelter-in-place order in California. And he said, he put it this way, look, California is the only one that he knows of, even New York, which has more cases per capita. Governor Cuomo is not ordering a shelter in place there. He said, we use it here for like chemical leaks, for weather emergencies, things like that. No shelter in place order. People are also talking about lockdown. The request for you to stay in your home and limit contact is not a lockdown. Said, we use it here for dangerous situations for schools, hospitals, prisons, during things such as an active shooter threat. There is no lockdown. And Mike is a great guy, and he said this, look, we know people are scared, they're worried about their jobs, their finances, their health, their kids. And he says, please, everyone, go ahead and share accurate information from legitimate sources, but please do not break what we've been doing to flatten the curve. Limit your contacts. If you have contact with somebody who's got a cough and sick, check it out. Wash your hands. Go shopping if you need to, but don't let somebody's kids slobber all over you. You get the idea, and they will give you information as it becomes available. And this is added. This is from the governor, thanking everybody for being so cooperative in Louisiana. I was listening again. I tried to check in with NYU Langone Medical Center. They're doing this special coronavirus channel on Sirius XM. And they've talked a lot about compliant populations and non-compliant populations. And I would posit that one of the reasons New Orleans has so many cases and it's growing is that historically they're kind of a non-compliant population. Where in New Rochelle, New York, where they had their first big outbreak, it started at a synagogue with 70 people there. Within 3 or 4 days of each other, all got coronavirus. They told them to self-isolate, and they've stopped it because that is a compliant population. And there's a big difference. There really is.
Yeah, I know what you mean by non-compliant population. They don't mean any harm, but it's just like, everybody needs a shelter in place and blah, blah, blah. And they go, oh, shit, we ain't worried about that.
We ain't worried about that. I'm going to go have me a couple beers before I go and take my medicine. Joining us now, Michael Acaldo. Michael, come around right to the point of that. There we go, so we can see
We'll
you.
exhale in a different direction.
Yeah. We want to keep our spacing. He is, of course, the longtime executive director of St. Vincent de Paul here in Baton Rouge. And we've been meaning to get to you because we know that you deal on a daily basis with a compromised population. You have your shelter open. You have your dining room open. You have your community pharmacy open. Get a little close and tell
I'm
us.
sorry, man. You're just going to have to get closer to that mic and take your
I
chances.
don't want to. Obviously, I don't have any symptoms, but I'm like, I'm not saying I'm necessarily like an emergency room doc, but
No, we got you.
And so we deal with a non-compliant population, and so that's a challenging thing. And from GOSEP, the number of cases in Louisiana for the percentage of our population is extremely high. And our dining room went to pickup service. We've been a few steps ahead of what we needed to do, because we recognize that compliant populations that aren't compliant are challenging. And so we're doing the best we can under the circumstances we're in.
You deal with unemployed, underemployed. You deal with people
Right.
who are suddenly homeless. You
That's
deal with
correct.
people that are chronically homeless.
That is correct.
And I know you're aware that the state government has set up basically 3 infirmaries and rest areas for homeless in state parks, and they're spread out over the
Right.
state. But what do you do, or have you had somebody comes to your door and they got a fever in their coffin? I mean, you got a whole bunch of people in there. How have you been handling that?
Well, we are triaging everyone. And so if someone comes in and we suspect that they have that, then we direct them to appropriate medical care. Our shelters are practicing sheltering in place, which means that if you're homeless, you have to stay with us. You can't go and come as you please. And that's very, very important, because we don't want somebody to go and not social distance and then come back in the shelter and share whatever they may have received, so to speak. So we're sheltering in place at our shelters. We're giving meals to go, takeouts, like this wonderful restaurant is doing here, where our pharmacy has put protections in place, and we're making sure that people are some places away, and we're taking it very seriously. So as of yet, we don't have any cases, but unfortunately, there are a lot of folks that are calling in with fevers and other things. So it's always a challenge.
I was going to ask you about your supplies, and I spent an entire day behind closed doors yesterday at my wife's insistence.
Yes.
Because I am at an age where I should be limiting my contact.
Yes.
And
People of a certain age.
and because I have had heart bypass surgery.
Right.
So I did spend a whole day, but I know that one of the things for people that have mild cases
Right.
is rest, fluids, and Tylenol.
Right.
And I was actually going to run out and get you a bunch of Tylenol and some Gatorade for your community pharmacy. I did not get to do that, but
Right.
I'll
Right.
drop some bag by a little later on. But what are you doing as far as supplies? Are you guys good, or do you need anything?
Well, this is the first time in my 31 years of being at St. Vincent de Paul that usually we're begging people to come volunteer. We're usually begging people for supplies, and we're doing the opposite now. We've cut off all volunteers because, again, the percentage of our population that currently have this virus and do not know it, this would be a great time for people to get service hours. Well, that population, the high schoolers and the college group, they're also the ones that have been partying at Mardi Gras or partying for St. Patrick's Day. And those are the folks that we are not, we're not accepting any volunteers. We're not encouraging people to drop things off. Again, each one of our staff members have taken roles that really practice social distancing, because we recognize as a small staff, if we start to go down, operations will cease, and we'll have well over 100 people out on the street that we're giving a home to. We won't be able to fill prescriptions, and the meal service that we provide will be gone.
And that would put an additional burden somewhere else.
That's correct. That's correct. So it's a strategically very difficult thing to deal with.
Michael, with regard to the shelter, what have you had to do about sleeping arrangements? Because that can be kind of close in sometimes, right?
Right. The families in the women's shelter, we are all 100% okay because they're all separate rooms. But the men's dormitory is where we have the most
That's what I was
challenge.
thinking of, yeah.
And so, again, if anybody shows any of these symptoms, we're sending them for appropriate medical evaluation. And then from there, we'll take the appropriate action. But those in the DCFS infirmaries and stuff, which I don't think they're all set up ready to go, but they're getting there. Once that happens, that's how we would send it in.
Well, I've always wondered this, and I guess now's a good time to ask.
Right.
Does anybody come to you for medical evaluation other than EMS? For example, do registered nurses volunteer? They say, look, if you got somebody that's coughing in the middle of the night, I'll come over and I'll take their temperature and I'll look them over before you decide to call EMS. Do you have anybody like that will do it on site for you?
We currently do not. Obviously, if there's any medical professionals out there that would want to take that on and is not currently working,
Yeah.
then we would be open to that. But just like I kind of gave y'all a warning, again, I'm not symptomatic or anything, but I'm dealing just similar with the emergency rooms and doctors' offices are relative to the potential of me being exposed is great. Any St. Vincent de Paul member. So that's part of the reason why we've kind of stopped volunteers, not only for their safety, but also for the safety of the people that we're serving. Because if you have a nurse that might be practicing right now and maybe has been exposed, if they come into our shelter, boom, we're gone. So it's that type of the people that have social distance and the people that are taking the right protections are not coming down with this virus. So
Well, and-
nationally, if
yeah.
we just, in the world, if we all just for 15 days says we're going to do this, this virus would come to an end.
Well, we're also seeing, like, the head of the DOTD is
Yep.
tested positive for the virus.
That's
it's like,
correct.
if he can get it, anybody can get it, I
That
guess.
is-
Sean Payton.
Yeah. Head coach of the Saints got the virus.
That's exactly right.
Now, I don't know if these two gentlemen traveled out of the country, or I don't know what their goings on have been, but still, it kind of
Scary.
illustrates that anybody can get it.
Well, I hate to say it in a humorous way, but I'm sorry, it cracks me up. They have Prince Albert in a can. They announced
Literally.
last night that Prince Albert of Monaco has tested positive for the coronavirus.
No doubt about it. It's and again, for St. Vincent de Paul, we're usually, when it's a disaster, we're crowding people in our shelters. We're crowding volunteers. We're begging for this and that. Right now, we can't do that because it breaks every social distancing and everything the experts are telling us. This is what you got to do to keep everybody safe.
Well,
So really, right now, what the public can do for St. Michael is the same thing they can do for everyone.
St. Vincent.
Well,
St. Vincent de Paul, so
well,
beg pardon.
Well, obviously,
That was Freudian.
I'm no saint, and but I do recognize that St. Vincent de Paul, the biggest thing we need is people to go to our website, look at volunteer opportunities in the future, as well as financial contributions.
You could use
that
some
will keep-
operational cash.
'cause it's not like guys out there in the watching us, guys and gals, that we're very low cost. So that means that we get donations in and we provide the service. If those donations stop, the service stops.
Yep.
So I guess, and typically we do direct mail around this time. We do that all in house. So unfortunately, I can't get any direct mail out for fundraising, which this is Easter, Lenten time. So we're very concerned about our financial stability during this time, just because, are we talking 2 weeks? Or are we talking 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 months? What are we looking at?
Right.
Plus, are we looking at 3 weeks, 6 weeks, we're out of this situation we find ourselves in?
I like that
Or-
scenario.
I do too, but are we looking at getting out of it and then next fall being at the same?
Well, one medical expert told me that this unusually warm weather we have right now is actually helpful.
I've heard that as well, and that's a good thing.
This virus does not like heat.
And that is good.
But, even the experts on the national and state level are saying we can't tell you within this 48-hour window when we're probably going to peak.
Right.
And then 48 hours from now, they may be able to do a 10-day projection.
Yes.
And we've got is fulminating. I mean, they're just growing
They
algebraically.
Really
I think what we have to worry about in Baton Rouge, and I hate to say it this way, is people running from New Orleans and coming here.
That is a real true sense. And y'all know that, we haven't seen a lot of it, but we're in a typical day, we will see people from various healthcare facilities that are dropped at our door. They're being discharged from facilities. Not here from local places, but other places. A couple of weeks ago, got a guy that a facility put in to a cab in Slidell and sent him to us.
Wow.
3 weeks ago, somebody from Shreveport put a woman in a cab, a healthcare facility, dropped them off at our doorstep, not talking to us, not seeing if there was a bed. And that's a common thing that we see.
We used to call that dumping when I
abandoning a
worked in a
baby or
hospital.
something. That's horrible.
That should be a crime, in my viewpoint.
It actually is.
If
you're a hospital.
If that's correct, and if they are under psychiatric care. Now, if you have a mental patient that goes into a health facility for a broken foot, they can release them with the broken foot, but not because they're there for mental challenges.
Right.
But if you can imagine, so what are we doing now? We're doing just the same thing, and we have been. Just when the hospital says, if you're visiting and you're from Orleans or Jefferson Parish or one of the areas that's really affected, you can't visit your mother in the hospital. You can't visit. So we're doing the same thing. If you're from a high impact area, we just can't take that risk.
Yeah, and again, particularly with those who are compromised, and for people like you who have to deal with compromised individuals.
Right.
And for everybody that's listening, I dug into some statistics yesterday, and I got to admit, this even surprised me. Now, Italy has now had more deaths than China.
Amazing.
Which is what, something like over 3,500, something like
Yeah,
that?
it's a pretty decent number. But 99% of their deaths were people that had underlying health conditions.
Right.
And I know a lot of you are walking around and you take one of the pills. You don't have to inject yourself yet for diabetes, but that's one of the underlying conditions that makes this very, very bad. Of that 99%, another 40% had 3 or more underlying health conditions. So think about this. I know you want to see Grandma, but if she is over in a skilled care facility,
Correct.
and she's got diabetes and she's got congestive heart failure, you're almost putting a death sentence on her by going and visiting her.
Without a doubt, and it's the same thing with our population. It is because they have suppressed immune systems.
There you go.
So therefore, they're at tremendous risk. And so from our standpoint, what we're doing is taking every precaution because let's face it, a lot of our volunteers are people that have means and they do travel. And so we want to protect them, but we also want to protect our guests. And so that's what we're doing.
Well, and we are all in this room, except maybe for Chris, he's a bit younger.
Yeah.
We are all of the age
Yes.
where we have our pure friends, our close relatives that get cancer.
Right.
And they undergo treatment for cancer. And we forget that they're compromised.
They're compromised
right now.
as well.
Because most cancer treatment suppresses your immune system.
Correct.
And you want to go see your friend who just had surgery. Please don't.
Right.
I have
That's
a close
exactly
friend.
right.
I have a close friend who is not elderly at all. She's an adult woman, but she's hale and hearty. But she just had thyroid cancer surgery on Monday. She's been released from the hospital because that's how amazing cancer surgery is these days. But she's terrified. She's terrified of having groceries delivered for fear that even the delivery guy could, because she's got a compromised immune system, very much so right now. So, I mean, you've got to think about these things.
Well, I think we can all not be too safe. And I think that's a message from GOSEP, MOSEP, and all the federal agencies. And that's what we're doing at St. Vincent.
Michael, of course, we're on Facebook Live, and in the text accompanying this video chat, I've included the Facebook Live link to Society of St. Vincent de Paul. I'm assuming if someone links to that on Facebook, they can then get your website, or they can go and they can help out.
They can, yes, sir.
And right now, a little cash would go a long way.
Little cash would go a long way.
Exactly, because, while we can't take just donations because of that exchange, we would love to take cash donations via the internet. That's a great way to help us keep our doors open. And, I'm in my 31st year. I've never seen anything like this before. And I hope this is the first and the last before my retirement.
Now, I do have a bag of toiletries sealed from my travels that I've been meaning to give you, but I guess I'll hang on to those for now.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be super duper.
I will hang on to those until this crisis is past.
And if any of you out there are thinking, I don't have the information right in front of me, but I saw it just yesterday. This virus can live and be transmittable on surfaces for a lot longer than one might suspect.
Yeah.
Correct.
Especially on things like steel. How many steel door handles do you think you might touch in an average day of moving around going store to store?
Yeah.
Aluminum. It lives for quite a while. I mean, half hour on aluminum. Some things less than others, like only a matter of minutes on countertops, but still.
Wet cardboard, 24 hours. Think about the boxes that you get from Amazon or whatever, and if they've been sitting out in the dampness.
This is why Michael is saying, for now, if you're thinking, groceries or non-perishable goods be a good idea, not right now. Not right now, because that virus can live on those goods for longer than you'd think.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so we're taking every precaution possible, and we're doing what's necessary to keep everybody happy and healthy.
All right, Michael, we are going to let you go with our thanks. And again, keep them in your prayers as well and your good thoughts. And go to St. Vincent de Paul's website. You can make a no-touch donation there, which will help them a great deal.
And any amount would be welcome, any amount. So we thank you very much.
Now before we take our break, we have told you about La Divina, one of many restaurants that are doing delivery.
Yes.
And we have posted the number along with the information. Now, there is a group that literally just got together, and it's called Better Together BR. And it is a group of participating restaurants, and there are a great many of them. Things like City Pork and City Slice and Bistro Barones and Monjuni's and Jubin's and Gino's and Blend and Mestizo and Phil's Oyster Bar and Soji and Adrian. You get the idea. It is all of your favorites. And what they are doing is they are offering the menus of all these different restaurants and more, and I'll tell you more about them, where you can get your delivery or takeout order. Now, to make it as kind of an incentive or kind of a little Monopoly game that's kind of fun for you, if you order from 10 of these restaurants, and keep your receipts. Once you get to 10, you scan them all in, you send them to you, and they will give you a $50 gift card to the restaurant of your choice. Order from all of them, and you'll get a $100 gift card. Now, this is going to help them keep paying their staff largely. Restaurants with closed dining rooms don't make a lot of money. So this group, and it's most of the restaurants that are involved in Epicurean Society that do good works in this community all the time, that donate when your nonprofit has a fundraiser and you want somebody to cook for them. How many times have I seen Jim from Mestizo's at these, or Gino, or the people from Jubin's, Stephen Hightower with History Restaurants.
These are restaurants
Rouge,
that are socially active, socially responsible,
yeah.
and
they always help the community. So.
And plus, a lot of them, in a lot of cases, I can't speak for every single person on that list, but a lot of them, all they're really wanting to do is be able to keep the doors open and keep their employees paid, so that when this thing's over, they're still there for you.
So it is called Better Together, all right? And if you, the organization is called Better Together BR. And here's the deal. BR2020@gmail.com will have a lot of the stuff, a lot of the ways you can get in touch with them. There's ordering information and all that. And we're going to tell you about this frequently. So before we take our break here, some of the very best restaurants are on Better Together BR. We expect more to be answered. And our good buddy here, Lance at La Divina, is doing either carry-out or delivery. And all you have to do is phone in. The number is up on the Morning Exiles website right now. And it will help you because I'm getting tired of our cooking. I got to tell you, I really am. I don't think I've eaten this many meals at home in a week in a very long period of time. But you're also supporting businesses that support our community. Let's not forget, these businesses all employ people, okay? Mm-hmm. They all pay taxes.
All right. We're going to take a little short break right now. When we come back, and that's in just minutes, so leave our page open, okay? We're going to talk about, sure, this is a town known for a lot of great restaurants. It's also a town known for a lot of great live entertainment. How are they faring? You know, the live entertainment industry is taking it in the shorts right now with this thing because everything is canceled. Chase Tyler of the Chase Tyler Band joins us in just moments. Grab yourself another beverage. We're going to talk about that and more coming up in minutes. This is the Exiles.
And don't forget, you're going to have to, because we're taking a break, the live feed will stop. You're going to have to reinitiate your page or leave it open.
Just leave the page open.
And we'll be back, okay?
All right. Love you. Mean it. Bye.